Welcome to Appetite for the Wild, and today we're going to show you how we're going to make pork and pineapple sausages. Today we'll be using lean pork, 80% and 20% pork fat. And this fat is from pork jails, so it has a little bit of meat in it, which should give us a good blend. I'm going to start cutting this up ready for the mincer. And depending on the size of the mincer you have, long finger-sized strips will always go through better than cubes. And that just helps it feed through the mincer better. So I'm going to cut some of the fat up now. Cut it up similar, but just a fraction smaller because the fat is a lot firmer to go through the mincer, so I just like that a little bit smaller than my lean meat. So we got our lean pork there, 80%, and our fatty pork there, 20%. So now we're going to give it a good mix so it's blended well, so you've got an even consistency when you run it through your mincer. The ingredients for these sausages is a plain sausage meal. Don't buy one with all the different flavours, just stick to a plain sausage meal, tinned pineapple and some ice cold water. So just follow your instructions on the sausage meal and it'll tell you the volume of meat per packet of meal and how much water you've got to add. The pineapple will make up part of the liquid in this process. The pineapple will be 15% of the meat used. So you do your calculations and you work out how much pineapple you will need. So I'll blend the pineapple up now and mix it with the water. Now that's all chopped up nicely. I'll add that into our jug and keep doing that until you've got your 15% of pineapple. So the instructions on your pork sausage meal will tell you exactly how many kilos of meat to use per packet and how many litres of water. So that pineapple makes up that part of that water volume, so I need to add a little bit more to get my total volume of liquid. And what I've found in the past, that you're better off with slightly a bit too much water than a bit too less. It gets too hard to bind and it doesn't want to go through the sausage stuffer as well. And the same with the meat portions. If you have a little bit more, it won't matter, but if you don't have enough, you will taste the meal too much. We've got our lean pork and our fatty pork mixed well together, and I popped it back in the freezer for half an hour so it's almost frozen. You want it as cold as possible without freezing it before you put it through the mincer. And today we're going to mince twice, so we're going to do the first one on a 12mm screen and then we're going to change out to a 4.5mm screen for the finished product. And we'll get into it. We've just done our first mince through the 12mm screen, and now we're going to add the sausage meal and mix that through. And I just got to mix that in, give it a good blend. I've mixed that meal in, so I've got a good consistency, and now we're going to run it through the 4.5mm screen. So that's all been minced up nicely now, and I'm going to add our pineapple and water mix. It's all our liquid. And now we're going to give this a real good mix until it's blended in. So that has all been mixed well now. It's an even consistency, so it all looks the same, no part is wetter or drier than the rest. There's a few little flecks of pineapple here and there, and that's what makes it really nice when you bite into your sausage. We're ready to put the meat into the casings now, so I'm just going to start feeding this into my sausage stuffer. This one is a water one, works on water pressure, so when we're ready to go you just turn the tap on and it pushes it into the casings. Today we're using hog casings, 32mm, and I've soaked these overnight in fresh water. I actually rinse them off first. They're salted when you buy them, and I gave them a good rinse, rinsed all the salt off, and then put them in a container with a half a teaspoon of bicarb soda, and that helps soften them up and makes them more usable, nice and smooth to use. So we'll start getting that on. Now we've got all our casing threaded onto the sausage fillet. We tie the end off, a bit like that, and then just poke a little hole in the end there to let the first bit of air out. Now we're ready to fill our sausage. That's pretty good. A little bit more. Yeah, beautiful. Righto, now for the tying section. This could probably look a little bit complicated, but I actually link off 4 to start with. In the first one, a twist, bring it around to the third, slide it through and back out, and then it's just a matter of pulling it through, pinching off there, twist, put that one down and continue on like that. You can do them as long or as short as you like. It's all an individual thing. Depending on what length you choose to tie them, we try and get them all the same, so they're nice and even and consistent. I must add, when doing pork sausages, it's always better to use natural hog casings than synthetics. You get a nice fat sausage and the flavour will be better. They're more heat resilient when you put them on the barbecue. So now we've got our chain of sausages tied off. We'll hang them up and give them half an hour to an hour just to let that excess moisture drip off before we put them in the fridge. And we hang them in the fridge overnight to let them flavours set. So these runners got a piece of plastic in the middle, they're called tubed, and it makes it way easier to get them onto the stuffing horn. So you guide the plastic on like that, all your runners are now on the horn, and then you hold your runners there and you just pull that plastic out from underneath. Way quicker than just trying to thread it all on. And we're ready to go. Depending on how much pressure you have, you don't want to stuff them too tight because it makes them hard to tie at the end. So they've got to be a little bit loose inside that skin. Well, the sausages have been in the fridge overnight and they've set nicely. Now I'm just putting them down on the barbecue plate, getting them ready to cook. I always like to give them a light spray with a bit of oil, never cook them dry. Which helps the skin to crisp up that little bit. So I'm going to start off with a cold barbecue plate and heat it up slowly. We want this to be a slow and gentle cook. No high heat, and do not bust the skins, and just let those flavours develop within inside that casing. We just want to get some light brown on the outside of them, on all sides. It's cooking away nice and steady there. No, they're cooking along nicely, getting some of that nice brown colour. Sometimes I like to lay them up against the side of the barbecue plate like that, and just be able to get all the sides cooked. Well, they're just about done. It's taken nearly 20 minutes. You can see the skin is still intact and all the flavours are still inside. There's the finished product. Nice brown glaze all over. Let's cut one open and see what it looks like. Still see all the moisture in there. And now for the taste test. That one's actually got a little bit of pineapple there. The sweet and the sour of the pineapple together with the softness of the pork is really good. Well, it's been enjoyable making these sausages. I'm sure you could use other types of fruit as well, and if you do, let us know in the comments and see how it comes out. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Appetite for the Wild.